You know, it's a really bad news day in Scotland when one of the national papers go with a headline that the Celtic transfer target Gustav has the title of a Baron, and that is number 254 in line for the Swedish throne. And then they also emphasise the fact that the centre back is of royal stock. What a load of nonsense. There's probably somebody sitting in Glasgow that's 250th to the bloody British throne. Absolute nonsense there, paper. Absolute nonsense there, story. Trying to make something out of absolutely nothing. Celtic are closing in on a signing that has real life Swedish Baron. Roar! Yeah, and his own family coat of arms. Well, there's probably lots of families in Scotland, believe it or not, that have their own coat of arms. And that probably goes down to the clan system in Scotland. Callum McGregor coat of arms. The McGregor, clan. They'll have a coat of arms. What absolute nonsense story. Anyway, let's get back to some real transfer news. It looks like Yoki Kobayashi might be getting put out on loan at Celtic, which would be quite disappointing for him as a defender. He has seen other people come in this week. It's looking like the big, I've got a coat of arms. Anyway, let's move on for that. Since his arrival, he was told last year after that we won against Celtic game that he's basically not good enough. But he's only 23-year-old, but he does face an uncertain future at the club after Ange Postecoglou's exit to Tottenham. He's really struggled to make an impact. Even under the Australian, he struggled to make an impact. He did get a lot of criticism after the game last season. But it looks like he might be going back to Japan on loan. He has just changed this is interesting because he's just changed to the same agency as young Rocco Vata has changed to, the CAA base agency. That is it a good move for him? Maybe. Would it be better if Celtic put him out on loan to a team in Scotland or here so that we can keep an eye on him and see how he plays? Or does Brendan basically not face him at all? And do the Celtic backroom staff now not fancy him? What does that say about some of the signings that Ange Postecoglou brought into Celtic? Yeah, there we go. That's a question for another day. The fact that Gustav, the warrior, the Baron, is coming into Celtic, it looks like he'll get pushed further down the pecking order when it comes to defenders. So tell me your thoughts in the comments. Do you think that Kobayashi is good enough as a Celtic defender? Do you think he's been harshly treated, getting put on loan? Or do you think it's one of the ones that maybe Ange jumped the gun at a bit? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. A strange story that I seen the other day that I wasn't really going to do anything about, but it's about an ex-Celtic player that it's really surprised me that his attitude over the last couple of over the last week anyway. And that person is Ollie Nitcham. He refused to play a game. And that's all I'm going to say. He refused to play a game and raised a few eyebrows, and he's trying to basically force his way out of Swansea City. Anyway, that's enough of that. We'll move on from that. Tell me your thoughts about Kobayashi. Tell me your thoughts about the daily records and the fact that they're going with a story that is just pure nonsense. It is just absolutely pure nonsense. So what? He's got his family coat of arms tattooed on his leg. Anyway, another Celtic news. It is a bit quieter this morning. The big report says the fact that we're sending a player that only come in January. We're sending him out on loan by the looks of it. It looks like the Gustav Lagerbielke deal is about to go through. And that, with that being said, Brendan Rodgers reveals that he sent a message to players. He sent a message to all the players after the game at the weekend. And, he's really getting down to business with the players. He's really getting in the mindset of the players. After the second half, we were a bit more comfortable at the weekend. The first 20 minutes, shaky start to the game, we all know that. But Ange left us in a sort of good stead. What do you think so far of the Brendan Rodgers reign? And how excited are you for the season ahead? Because I can't wait for the season to sort of get the team to get bedded in. A lot of the principles of what Ange did in the game, and a lot of principles are the same. There will be changes that we'll see over the next couple of weeks, and it is basically just to make sure that we continue the success. If you look at towards the end of last season, although we won the league easily and handsomely, I think teams were starting to suss out the way we were playing. They were starting to sit back. If you look at the very first game of the season, Ross County targeted Callum McGregor. They man-marked Callum McGregor at the game to make sure that he didn't get that freedom to basically make sure everything was perfect about. But what Callum was doing when he was getting man-marked, he was also shouting at players and telling them where to pass the ball. So he wasn't getting ruled out of the game altogether, and that's one of the things that you need to watch back. Watch back the game and watch back what Callum McGregor was doing off the ball to see just how good really Callum McGregor is. He said, the manager went on to say, you take a look at the energy of the players, look at the attitude, look at the technical and tactical quality of the team that we have right now. He says that's something that's been great over the course of the first 7 weeks of my tenure. He says, firstly, I've always said it's about working with the players. I believe that it's about a working relationship, whether that's a professional or personal level. For me, Brendan Rodgers says, I always try to take and build on that relationship to try and understand what the players' motives are. We've been through all this before, we understand that. You get through that through conversations, and he is having ongoing conversations with the players, which I think is fantastic. He also went on to say, I also think that the team element, we did some workshops, and we've been how to understand each other, how to understand each other's strengths, and we've basically squared up to that, where improvements can be made and what the challenges are going to be on the season going forward. All that type of work goes on to understand what their thoughts are of the individual players as people, and it helps bring the squad closer together, which is basically just a continuation of the last couple of seasons. People have been a bit up in arms and a bit worried about the fact that we're going to stop playing Ange ball. That's it. Ange is gone. Ange is out the building. We're going to go back to a more defensive passing around the back like what he did the first time, and people got bored of that type of football. But I think there's still going to be that attacking element that's going to be really fast paced, and we've seen that the second half, and especially with some of the goals. So with that being said, what do you think about the season so far? What do you think about Kobayashi going out on loan? That's the big breaking news this morning, I'm afraid. Nothing more than that. If you read some of the national papers, they're going on the line that Gustav has historical family crest. Big deal. Big deal. Bet Callum McGregor's got one too. Anyway, and like me and you, he loves the Celtic too. So on that note, have a great day, Celtic fans all around the world.
Lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up.